Welcome to the pilot episode of Arks Trash. We have over here Anamana. Anamana, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Anamana. I make PSO2 content. I also stream PSO2, but my focus has always been about helping people get into the game and I guess getting them kind of started on end game. And then from there, they can go on and figure it out for themselves or maybe join the community and find where they want to min-max their stuff.
So today we've prepared 10 questions for you, and so we're just going to jump straight into it. So the first question is the spiciest question of all, and that is, what do you think of the other content creators on this show today?
Yeah, all right. This is actually like really interesting. So let's start out with keroppi, I guess. I feel like there was a lot of people that just popped their head up in PSO2 back when, I guess, around mid-year. And keroppi, like, I think I had started noticing keroppi's videos, and keroppi actually reached out to me, and we ended up streaming. We were going to do like a video like this, but we ended up streaming together. And I really vibe with keroppi. I think he's a really laid back and really nice dude. Sorry, I was going to say guy, but dude at the same time. I really appreciate the fact that keroppi is about as consistent as I am. And I also like the laid back approach and kind of the genuineness of learning as you go rather than, feeling like you need to be the ultimate resource of information. So that's something I see for myself as well, that I like for myself. And it's cool to see like another person that has that kind of mindset. As for Azalira, Azalira has been around ever since I've kind of made PSO2 content. I think even back like in 2017 when I was starting to do a little bit of content, but ended up removing it from my channel. They were around as well. And it's just been really good to see them. I just really like their aesthetic of their content. It's really well put together. And also it's really easy to listen to as well. And very knowledgeable. And also just, yeah, I like that, not keroppi, sorry, Azalira really has that kind of segment or the corner of the fashion and the aesthetic, and also I guess showing off skill of what they've built over the years is really cool as well. And then as for Chrono, I think Chrono's a good egg. Whenever I'm in their streams, always really laid back, always lots of memes and jokes. Very knowledgeable. I actually appreciate their opinions and their takes as well, being open and honest about that stuff. And their videos are pretty good too. So I like all the content creators on today, and definitely never any ill will towards them. I like what they're doing for PSO2.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's your spicy hot take. So now we're going to be moving on to the next question, where we deep dive into PSO2. So, Anamana, what got you into PSO2?
So I feel like I'm not the kind of person that's just seen PSO2 and I've just gone, hey, that looks like it's for me. I actually started, I knew about Phantasy Star growing up, but I was always a Nintendo kid. But it wasn't until the Dreamcast that I actually got my first Sega system. And Phantasy Star was just a game that was appearing in magazines for PSO. And yeah, eventually I wanted to get it. I got it. The serial license didn't work, so I played it offline, took it back to Electronics Boutique, got my money back. And then it wasn't until the PC version 2 came out that I started to really play it online. And eventually Blueburst came out. I played the Japanese beta for that. And then I also played the Western version, and then Phantasy Star Universe, kind of the same with that. And then it's been similar for PSO2, but I feel like over the last 8 years, I've just had a lot of other games that I've been interested in. I've come and gone with playing it every now and then, usually starting a new character, never really getting to endgame, but being kind of familiar with what PSO2 was all about. But I always had hope that it was going to come out to the West. And once it came out to the West, I started preparing for it, and then here we are.
Wow, so you've been playing a lot of just the Phantasy Star series before PSO2 came out, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. I like the fact, I'm not a Star Wars person, but I like the fact that it's like a Eastern Star Wars kind of game.
Gotcha. So regarding PSO2, just PSO2, this series, how long have you been playing?
So outside of just dabbling across the years, pretty much since beta, back in February on the Xbox, I've just played it pretty much every day since then.
And then, so what keeps you coming back to the game, though? What entices you to log in every single day, to do your dailies, to play the game in general, other than community and alliance?
Yeah, so outside of community and alliance, And obviously outside of content and streaming, I just really like organizing my alts and also kind of preparing my main character. The main focus I have is to get one of every fashion piece right now that is like a costume or a basewear and also an outfit. So my main drive is to min-max my alts to make them as lazy as possible so I can just, across 3 minutes do everything I need for their daily and maybe their weekly as well. So at the moment, I've got the maximum 30 of my alts, but 3 are on other ships, so I don't really count those. So 27 alts, I will min-max with doing my weeklies. That'll probably take me a few hours to get probably at the moment like 47 million, maybe 40, 50 something. I don't know, a lot of money across the week. Probably a lot more hard work than some people would prefer to just play the market, but it's just like a flow that I like. And then also if there's other, like a level cap coming, like we recently had level 90 and 95 is coming. And what I did leading up to level 95?
Yeah, 95 was the latest
95,
level cap.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 100 coming eventually.
Yep.
What I did was I stacked up as many bonus keys as I could and converted them all to gold keys. I ended up having 100 of them. And then I also started preparing getting experience boosters, Tri-Boost EX. My alliance had the maximum experience boost. So I basically just got like 700% experience bonus and then 100 gold keys. And then I got, I think it was like 8 classes to level 95 within, I think it took me 7 hours just sitting there doing that. So I just like min-maxing the numbers, I guess, to do that kind of thing. I'm less of a fixer or someone that really likes to, I guess, deck out my character perfectly. I just like the mindset of I'm just putting this to work. It's maybe an hour each day or an hour a week, depending on what I'm focusing on.
So how long does it take you to do all 27 characters? And do you do that every single day?
No. So I'll do it once a week when it's in between content drops with level caps. But if it was a level cap drop, then yeah, I would be doing every day across maybe like 2 weeks. I think is about as much as I can do without really burning out. But that'll take me, I mean, doing 20 characters, it was about 2 hours across, maybe it was like 1 hour. I think maybe doing the dailies, just the dailies to get the keys is like about an hour per 10 characters, probably like 2 hours and 50 or 45 minutes or something now. But yeah, there's a really fast way to do it. You basically get a daily quest, pop that if you've already got the materials in your storage, and then you do Arks quest, which is subdue
First
the very
one.
first one.
Yeah, the very first one. That's all I remember.
Yeah. It's the monkey one. But anyway, you do that, you rush through that, and you get a drink and you use a food as well. And it takes less than 3 minutes. And across each character, yeah, that's all you have to do.
So what's your most memorable moment in PSO2 though?
It's interestingly, it's not even playing the game. It was
No.
I don't know if you I'm sure you probably did stop by. So many people stopped by for it, but when we were waiting for episode 6 maintenance to start, we had gotten the notice that it was going to be delayed about an hour and a half before it was going to scheduled to go live.
Yep.
And I was going to go live anyway. It was going to go live at like 11 p.m. for me. So I went live at 10 and it ended up being delayed for a further 6 hours. It was very interesting. I had like quite a few people turn out for it, and like it's the most popular stream I've ever had, and it really gave me the opportunity to test how good I am at entertaining people when there's nothing happening.
Yep.
So we were doing a lot of things. We were rating waifus, we were rating husbands. We started looking at old JRPGs and saying which ones we liked. And then it devolved into just like memeing, and I made Vegemite on stream to teach Americans how to spread Vegemite. And it was, people kept saying, yeah, look, the server's going to go live the moment you go to sleep, because by then it's like 7 a.m. for me. And yeah, as soon as I go to sleep, I'm already in bed and people are messaging me, get up, it's back. So I actually slept another 5 hours after that. But it was a lot of fun, made a lot of new friends, had a lot of good memories. There wasn't really any spiciness with it. Like there was every now and then, obviously with streaming, you get a little bit of spiciness, but it was honestly pretty wholesome and pretty laid back. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like an hour after you ended stream, servers went live, and then everyone's just like, oh my goodness, Anamana. All right, so we've got question 6 over here. And you can answer either or, because I'm going to ask two questions. The first one is,
Yep.
what collaborations do you think we'll get on the global servers? And the second part of the question is, what collaborations do you want to have on the global servers?
So I don't know a lot of the anime ones and maybe other games, but the main ones I would like to see that I think have the higher chance of coming were probably going to be Final Fantasy 14 with the Odin stuff, Monster Hunter, whether or not they do it for Monster Hunter Rise and incorporate previous Monster Hunter collaborations into that. And also Neon Genesis Evangelion. I think that's such a big license that they'd be silly not to, unless maybe it's, I don't know, too expensive to do in the West. For the ones that I think we'll see. As for what I'd like to see, I would really like to see. I think Destiny has a big. There's a lot of, like, obviously it's not the same game type. It's Western ones, Japanese, but there's a lot of familiarity. Like, it'd be cool to get a Ghost mag, which is kind of like their version of a mag. And a lot of people want to see Halo because we've got the Xbox version, but I mean, outside of that, Fantasy Star would be a really cool one to see. Maybe like Burning Rangers or Rent a Hero from the Sega franchises. Like any of the Sega franchise stuff would be really cool to see. Sword Art is another one I think we'll probably get, obviously, as well.
I think Sword Art Online is definitely going to be a collab, because it did hit the JP servers, was very, very popular there. I'm kind of hoping for the Monster Hunter Rise to come in as well. Like, I would definitely love to fight some of the monsters from that game. And Final Fantasy, yep, I agree. Final Fantasy 14 is big. Is really big, so that should definitely hit as well. All right, so I don't know how you're gonna answer number 7, because I know your views on VTubers, but have you ever thought of becoming a VTuber?
I'm definitely not a person that watches VTuber stuff. That doesn't mean that I don't appreciate VTuber content and the I guess subsection of popular culture that it fills. I think it's really cool that people have an outlet for that, and also it's a new media of content that people can make. As for me, I've thought of, like, especially on Twitch, I don't know about YouTube, but having a button on my stream deck where I can press that and it'll swap my webcam for a VTube version of myself, or maybe even, so if I had a version of my own PSO2 character, so I could interact with my character as like some weird meme. That's about as far as I've thought for it, but yeah, like, outside of that, I probably wouldn't do it. It's actually very expensive to get VTuber rigging unless you obviously got the skill yourself. But looking at some of the VTuber rigging that people put together, some people charge like, $1,000 or $2,000 for a really good looking one. So if I was to, I would rather go in wholeheartedly rather than just as like a throwaway little 5-second thing.
For sure. We'll just move right along, since I know your stance on that. But what do you think the reason is that PSO2 is having a hard time getting new players to come in or try the game? I
think there's also this illusion of difficulty of catching up that a lot of people have, where it's like, well, I need to go through all these episodes of content to catch up. And I think, like, for both of us, for Chrono, for probably even Azlara, if there's probably room for people to make a video saying it's easy to get into PSO2, this is what you should focus on, I think that's the biggest thing right now. But other than that, obviously, as with any online game that has microtransactions, there's always that subsection of players that maybe they're free-to-play players, and maybe the fact that there is microtransaction is something that turns them away. We always have the discussion on stream that microtransactions, especially in PSO2 is by no means pay to win. Pay to win, the definition is basically buying power. So buying, a 15-star weapon, or even a 16-star weapon that you could only buy, kind of thing, or units that were decked out with perfect affixes. Maybe they had 10 affixes. And then, being able to buy a pack that just boosts you to level 95 or anything like that. That's what's pay to win. But a lot of people see like a very small convenience, like having more storage or having a little try boost of 50% on your premium, as a pay to win thing. But I don't think it's the case. I just think it's like at the end of the day, a lot of people say PSO2 is not anything you have to compete with. It's everyone working together, as much as some people like to compete against others with their affixes or having the best gear or maybe even their fashion. It's not a game where we compete against. And also, there's something else I was thinking of. I was trying so hard not to lose it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no means of needing to, I guess, pay a cent to succeed. There are people out there, and we were talking about this in the PS Fleet the other day, that I might do these 27 alts and I might come out with 50 million a week. But there are people out there that are free to play that have had enough of the fun scratch to get their shop thing, and then they wait until they've got enough items, they put them on the shop, and they're coming out with a lot more in-game currency than I even have as someone that has spent, hundreds of dollars on the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully free to play. That is true, and the main reason why I do this is twofold. One is because my Steam, like I used to play on the Microsoft Store when it came out, then I transferred to Steam, but the Steam Store doesn't let me charge money. Like the page doesn't load, and so I can't top up. That's reason number one. And reason number two is because people just have this expectation of me now that, oh, if you're fully free to play, check out Karo's channel because he's the free to play player and he does everything fully free to play, and you can see him suffer scratching fun scratch tickets and messing up his mag and doing all this stupid stuff and fixing it fully free to play. And because people have this expectation, I'm just kind of like, well, might as well embrace it, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so moving on would be, if you can improve anything in PSO2, this is the vanilla version, what would it be and why?
I actually have a lot of things to say with this. I came from Destiny 2, which Destiny 2 is currently in a very heavy state of them removing content, retooling it in the background while there's a new bit of content kind of covering its place. And then later on with future expansions, they'll bring it back retooled and updated and a lot better. I think, and this is something that I was complaining about a lot with Destiny 2 at the time, was the new player experience wasn't great. But with PSO2, I think that they need to streamline the introduction process. There's a lot of vague prerequisites that aren't explicitly laid out. So like a good example is you start the game, you need to complete the forest exploration Arks mission, you need to speak to Apen, and you need to get your subclass. And there's like all these little things that there's no checklist of you need to do all these things, or they're not really highlighted. They're just put in this flow of going through the Arks missions. But there are very specific things that if you don't do those things, either you can't get access to Ko-fi, or maybe you're not getting the full amount of experience from your weekly and daily Arks missions. So I think that needs to be cleaned up a bit. I think also they need to rebalance and refresh all the quests, especially for ultra hard and maybe even extremely hard, to provide a unique, relevant reward at that level. So, for example, it's no longer just we're playing Divide quests or we're playing Buster quests. It's like, no, you've got a reason to play Buster quests, Advanced quests, Time Attack quests. Is actually a reason for you to go and seek out those things if you want to, go into a specific type of equipment, or maybe there's like a weapon series that you upgrade and get this material a certain way, which I guess it is kind of now, but more so spread across the board. So we've got players playing all different kinds of content. But the problem with that as well is that there's a fine balance to it, and there's only so many players, and you don't want to spread the players out too thin. So I can understand why they might have gone the route they have with that. But outside of that, and again, this is probably something you probably feel pretty heavily, is introduce a more lenient mag and class reset system, because right now that's a big trap and potentially may even be driving players away from the game with how it's not generous.
It's funny that you say that, because in today's video, the one that comes out in like 3 hours, I literally delete one of my characters to just show how to get 2 trigger actions on the mag, which was like PP recovery E and J. I was like, this is how you get it, but in order to showcase it, I have to delete my character. I was like, Jesus Christ.
If you're a paid card, you'd have to basically buy a new mag or reset it, right?
Yeah, I would have to buy a new mag for $3 or reset for $5. I don't really understand the pricing. Why is resetting more expensive than buying a new mag? I don't get it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to add it for this?
Not really. Those are the main things. I feel, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that you can really, there's a lot of little tiny bits that you could just, mention. But I guess in general, just like a refresh of PSO2 would be really nice, just tying up all these loose ends, especially if it's going to be a secondary game once New Genesis comes out, right?
That pretty much flows perfectly to the next question, which is, What do you think is going to happen to PSO2, the base game, when New Genesis comes out?
Yeah, so a lot of people have said on stream, I'm not too sure if you've had people say this as well, but some people are in the mindset that New Genesis is going to completely replace PSO2, and they're basically going to just shut down the PSO2 server, delete our gear, just throw it in the bin. But PSO2, obviously, we know Sega's been very clear about it. You basically log into your character, and then you can choose to log into PSO2 or New Genesis. I think they're going to coexist healthily, especially around the start. But obviously, the newer game is going to end up with the bigger population eventually. And I can see people dipping back into PSO2 either. So, especially at the start, as we have content rollouts, maybe we get to level 20 first, and there's only so much of the map we can explore, or so many of the cocoon dungeon things. Eventually, people are going to, exceed all their gameplay with that, and maybe turn back to PSO2 and start working back on what they maybe had left behind. I think that's going to be a thing. Or maybe if there's limited quests coming back to PSO2, or special events, or seasonal events running as well, there's going to be a reason to jump back into PSO2, especially if maybe there was cosmetics you wanted, or you're just maybe more of a completionist and want to make sure that you've got your character the best you can. I think there's going to be a lot for people on each side. I'd like to see PSO2 continue to get basic updates, like maybe new, like the roaming urgent quests where you're just running around, like the city one and the coast one. Maybe stuff like that'd add, I don't know, ultimate bosses, or just even like the Summer Wars one, just really making something fun with the content we've already got. It'd be cool to see basic updates, getting those every now and then, maybe once every few months. But as long as we're seeing like AC scratch rotations, seasonal events, I think people are going to be playing it. There's going to be a reason to go back, especially if maybe they're going further into what they've already got with PSO2 content for their costume. I think also with any game, right? We see it with Pokemon, with red, blue, and yellow. The people are like, well, there's only 151 Pokemon. The rest don't exist. There will always be a subset of players that will always prefer the original, and maybe they won't like New Genesis, or maybe they won't even touch New Genesis.
Your view was pretty close to Chrono's view as well. Chrono said something that really stuck with me, and that was if New Genesis like really messes up and it's like in that bad period, like what you just said on like Destiny, how they just need to fix a ton of stuff, like people always have regular PSO2 to fall back to. So at least you could still play, vanilla PSO2 the way you like it, everything's the same, and then give New Genesis some time to fix the issues, and when they're fixed, then you can hop back over. Or maybe like maintenance, maybe they could split up the maintenance into 2 separate times so people can still play. For example, when PSO2's down for maintenance, you can all hop over to New Genesis, like how they shut down blocks, or they shut down certain urgent quests. So there's less downtime. That could also be something pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how modular they've set up PSO2, where they can, perform maintenance on one side of it where it doesn't affect the other. Another thing, actually, another big elephant in the room is obviously there's going to be a big hardware requirement upgrade as well for PSO2. So there's definitely going to be a lot of players that can no longer play PSO2, whether or not they're in a country where PC hardware is just ridiculously expensive. Maybe they're 15 and they are using a school laptop, or stuff like that. So that's definitely something that's going to happen. It's an unnecessary evil if they want to see Phantasy Star progress without being held back like they were by the Vita for so long as well.
But like when they did the stream back in December 10th or 9th or whenever, right? When they did the switch back, when they switched over to PSO2 vanilla, what's your opinion on the graphics? Like, did you think it was a big upgrade or not really for the rehaul?
I mean, like the streams have always kind of been like a little bit muddy, and I think it just goes with the territory of streaming, but I feel like it looks pretty close to what it is now. I think it's probably just a lot of lighting and shadow stuff, and obviously ray tracing and stuff probably that is going to be part of the system where they're upgrading. So I think it's more going to be bringing it up to a new tier of graphics rather than really overhauling all the textures or stuff like that. It looks like as well, it's probably something to do with the lighting and shadows and stuff, but the color palette's also a little bit different as well by the looks of it.
so this is just my opinion, but I think that people who can currently play PSO2 are still going to be able to play, but maybe only in like the regular PSO2. Maybe when they switch over to New Genesis, or maybe they just have to lower their graphics like really, really low, because like, you know, ray tracing and all of that, you can just toggle that off, right? At least in like Cyberpunk and all that stuff, you can just turn that off. Then you could just play normally. Like, what I'm thinking is maybe Sega's working towards that path, where it's like, hey, if you can play PSO2 now, you can still play it, but maybe there's like a graphical setting, like how Black Desert Online has like the remastered mode and like the vanilla mode, and you could just toggle that and it would still work, but everything would just look really, you know, not as nice, basically.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that if they added that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping that they work towards that way. Because I saw your poll, it was like 40% or something crazy, right? I was just like,
nuts.
holy crap.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have like a pretty decent PC for running it?
I have an alright PC. Like this, my gaming PC that I bought 5 years ago, it's got a 1060 and an i7 7700K. So I'm basically smack in the middle for running all the graphics on medium, basically.
Okay.
So it's not that big of a deal for me, but then again, for me to buy new PC parts where I am is not that expensive. So it's not a big deal for me. But I do understand, like what you said, you know, some people have different life situations. You might be a student. You might, you know, be in a place where PC parts are very expensive. I believe Australia is stupidly expensive, isn't it, for PC parts?
Well, I upgraded my PC that I've got now, and I would say I wouldn't say like it's at the, you know, it can blow PSO2 New Genesis out the water. I think I can probably just, you know, comfortably play on high. But it cost, I actually waited for end of financial year and I picked it up for, I think it was like maybe 2,000 or 2,500. And that has like a 1080 Super or something like that with, I don't even know the parts, but it can run PSO2 pretty well, and it can run most other games pretty well as well.
Yeah, for sure. My personal opinion has always been PC parts, especially if you buy like the later generation or like the older generations, they're not going to be as bad like financially. But then again, you know, I do live in a place where PC parts are relatively inexpensive.
Hopefully as well, like Xbox One can run it pretty steadily, and I guess as well, fingers crossed we get a PS4 version too, or maybe even a Switch version. But that's the other thing, is like it's easy for us to say, if you've got an Xbox, play it on Xbox, but it's hard. You can't really say, well, if you can't afford a PC, go and buy an Xbox. Like, it's still a cost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like the Xbox has a downside. Like I have a bunch of people in my alliance that used to play on like the vanilla Xbox, because the vanilla Xbox has a spinning hard drive. So their loading times would take like 40 seconds, and that's like a normal thing. And so when we're trying to blast through, for example, Armada of Annihilation, you know, you're trying to get as many runs as you can, they're not able to keep up because they go through a loading screen, they get stuck for 40 seconds, the game realizes that we've restarted the run, there's another 40 seconds, and by the time they come down, you know, we've killed like half of the mobs already, and it's just like, well, crap, you know? So there's definitely hardware limitations and stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping that New Genesis, at least in that regard, is an opportunity for them to optimize.
All right, so we've covered all 10 questions that I had prepared, but do you have anything that you'd like to add or any questions that you'd like to ask?
I can't really think off the top of my head. Like that you probably haven't already answered on your channel, but yeah, I'm pretty good for now.
Well, now's the time where you can you can plug all your socials and do all that jazz. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so pretty much everywhere, just Anamana AU, YouTube. I'm not on Twitch anymore. Like, I've still got an account there, but I don't stream there. So videos and streams on YouTube. I've got an Instagram I rarely update. I'm active on Twitter. And then, I'm on Discord as well. You can find that on my channel if you'd like to join that.
All right, so all of Anamana's socials will be in the description below. Feel free to check him out. If you are planning to give your Twitch Prime subscription to him, don't, and give him a super chat instead on YouTube, since he doesn't use Twitch anymore. And yeah.